Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and what a game it was. It's finished West Ham United 2, Southampton 1. It was looking like it was going to be 8 games without a win, but well, it was a game of two halves, or we could say it was a West Ham of two halves. So we had a few hairy moments, and there was a hairy moment when Andy Carroll came off the bench, as well as that seems to be a discussion. I am Gio from hammerschat.com, and I've got the regular Kris from hammerschat.com. Kris, how you doing?
I'm good. I've kicked the kids upstairs to watch Frozen. I watched the match. Everyone's happy.
And I've got a new person tonight. He is on the hammerschat.com forum. With me tonight is Ryan. Ryan, thank you for popping on.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Forgot
well, it was going to be a crap game for Ryan to come on and discuss at the start. It was going to be an awful, awkward one for him as well. Try and put out a few opinions that aren't going to be too popular, but we turned it round. But let's talk about the first half. Kris, the back four. Did you get what Bilic was doing at the start? Jenkinson left back and leaving Tompkins. So we had two fullbacks out of position instead of just one. Do you think it was a bit of a strange thing to do at the start, Kris?
Yes, because Bonner's played a number of games for Italy and Juventus at left back. I'm not saying he's the best left back in the world, but he has played there. And crikey, I mean, I thought Jenkinson was a poor right back, but having seen him play left back, he's even worse than I thought he was. It was strange, and I think he basically admitted to his errors by swapping it around at half time.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the half-time changes in a wee second. Right, in the first half, was that as bad as you've seen? Well, we've said this the last 2 weeks now after Swansea and Villa, but was that first 45 minutes, do you think it deserved the boos, if you like?
Yeah, totally. It's like, really, we should have been 3-4-0 down at half-time. I mean, we was really lacking creativity. It just seemed like the defence and the midfield and the forward line was just playing all by themselves. There's no unity. And then, like, nobody's helping each other out. It was just putting people in trouble, etc., etc., and God, yeah, we were so lucky, and we should have deserved it, really, to lose at half-time.
Well, Ryan, Kris just said there the back four was wrong. Do you think Bilic got the midfield wrong as well?
Sort of, in a way. I mean, Song still isn't getting match fit for me. I'm not seeing him getting better and better, and I think it's being proved by the way he's been taken off so earlier and earlier now.
Yeah.
And, yeah, well, I wanted to see Karte be more of a forward runner, but he kept changing his role. Then running forward, then sitting behind the defence.
Yeah, I think that's what worried me. I think Kayate was meant to be the man in front of our back four, but he seemed to disappear a lot, and we made Davies look like Messi at some point. And during the first half, Davies was running the show, and I think he changed it in the second half. Kris, did you think we were onto a hide-in before half-time?
Yeah, I mean, we could and should have been 3 or 4-0 down. Someone posted the stats up on the forum. I think at half-time they'd had 10 shots and 7 on target, and we'd had a handful of shots and none on target. And it was bad. It was looking like an away performance. It's hard to tell we were at home, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I think our defence got thrown under the bus in the first half a wee bit. I just think the midfield was non-existent. And I know you said Jenkinson was poor at left back, but I think you have to remember that he's low on confidence as it is, and Bilic has gone and taken him out of what was his comfort zone, put him somewhere extremely unknown to him, and I think Bilic did not help Jenkinson out at all there, and he looked really uncomfortable. But not only that, he then has Zarate in front of him, who does not track back. So you're taking a guy low on confidence, put him out of position, then giving him 2 jobs to do, and I felt really sorry for Jenkinson. But we have criticised Bilic before in the past in this show. I have criticised Bilic for not changing his shape, and just doing like-for-like personnel swaps. Credit to Bilic today. He got it bang on at half-time for me. He changed the shape a wee bit, but more importantly, he moved the people about on the pitch. He did 2 subs, but not only that, he got Jenkinson out of left-back and put him right-backs and that. Ryan, at half-time, were you thinking this is the right subs, taking Lanzini and Carroll on?
Yeah, it was. I was actually surprised he was actually going to bring them both on at half-time. Because like, through the Twitter feed and the forums and stuff, you'd think, oh, Lanzini was only going to get 20, 30 minutes. But my God, that was the perfect move. He just changed our game completely, Lanzini, for the second half.
Kris, do you think Southampton have... I think we owe Southampton a big thank you here. Last week against Villa, we came out in front and sat back, said, come on, what you got? And Villa scored. Do you think Southampton did that to us today? Do you think they just retreated back as far as they could and said, well, what have you got? And then we threw on our star men, if you like.
Undoubtedly, I mean, they actually looked like us at the start of the season when we were doing that to teams, and they've got some really good players. Make no mistake about it, And at some point, it's been very easy to get on a downer over our last few games. Not today, but I said it after the Stoke game. I said it like the Stoke game. I said, you know what? It might have been a drab performance, but this could look like a very good point come the end of the season because Stoke are good. I said it when we went away to Palace and we beat Palace. And I think so now. You've only got to look at what Southampton did to Arsenal. They're a good team with really good players. And up until about the last 20 minutes, had probably had the best forward on the pitch, the best midfielder on the pitch. Davis, you mentioned. Van Dijk is a really good defender. So I think we've done really, really well today to turn it around. And you're right. Credit to Bilic. I think he's motivated him. He's chucked another forward on as he likes to do, mixed it up a bit, and it's worked.
Yeah, but I don't think he just changed the personnel at half-time. I think he changed his style. I think it was a totally different West Ham to the first. Actually, the last 2.5 games we've seen, it was a totally different West Ham in that second half. It looked like a side that had a bit of balls about them, a bit of let's go out there and win this. Whereas I think the last 2 games, everybody's just looked around at each other going, this is your fault, mate. You should be marking him. But it looked like in the second half, 11 men out there took responsibility for their own roles on the pitch and did it. There was still rough parts. Jenkins still looked a wee bit iffy at right back, but you've got to do baby steps. You've got to build his confidence up. One man I think was fantastic in the second half, and it's not going to be the most popular thing out there, but I thought our captain today was fantastic in the second half. He's not going to get all the praise because the 2 goal scorers are going to take the praise and the limelight away, and rightly so. But I've had a look, and Mark Noble's passing today, he had the most passes on the pitch, 66, but his pass success rate was 91%. Alex Song's was 57%. I thought Song was shocking, but again, I think he was played out of position. Ryan, do you think I'm being unfair on Song here or too praiseful of Noble? Do you think he was good in the second half? I thought he was the best we've seen on Martin Noble.
I thought Noble and Kiyate were a lot better in the second half. Because they both put a lot more effort in. And then, I think with that, when it was 3 of them together, because they're 3 sort of very similar players, different technically, but it's how their game works. And I think they was just too busy getting each other's way.
So do you think Bilic needs to drop one of the 3 out of Son, Kiyate, Noble? He's got to say, right, you 3 just don't work. One of you are coming out, and I'm playing with 2 of you there, and then putting another player on to go attacking.
I'd say it depends on who we play, really. Because we've got Liverpool next, haven't we?
Yeah.
And when we've played the top teams, he's always done that same, 3 defensive midfielders. So it's difficult to say, but if you're basing on that second half, yes. But if you're thinking you've got to be more organised or something, then possibly no. But I'm glad it's not me making the decision.
Yeah, well, you'll probably get criticised no matter what he does anyway, but I don't know about this. Fantastic. Kris, Lanzini changed the game. Did he change the game for you?
Yeah, it's brilliant to see him back. I know he's not really been gone that long, but there was a little, I don't know if you saw a little flourish at the end where he broke forward, he got into their box, and there was 2 of them, and it didn't quite happen. He sort of tried a pirouette, didn't he? And I not that she was remotely bloody interested, but I said to my wife, that's what we've been missing. She completely ignored me, but I just thought, you know what, that is brilliant, and he does bring something, and my mouth's watering at the thought of him and Payet coming back at the same time. Can't wait.
I think it's a lot of things like his first touch we've been missing. There was one, their corner came out our box, and Lanzini put himself in between the Southampton player and the ball and skinned him completely and got taken out right in our box. That's what we've been missing, I think, because normally if it was Kiyate, Noble, Antonio, I think they would have tried to knock the ball 5 yards and run after it or something, whereas Lanzini just did a little bit of skill, drew the foul, got the free kick, and away we went. But we'll talk about Antonio now. I think the jury's been out with him. People saying, has he got it, has he not? He's 25, he's not that young. People keep calling him a youngster. He's not really. He's experienced enough. What's your thoughts, Ryan?
I actually like Antonio. I think he's actually a good player. But yeah, there's some things, some decision making which is wrong sometimes. But I think but in the second half, his pace and power really pushed us on, and especially with that run at the end, where he basically ran near the whole way of the pitch but short wide. That just showed what he's all about and why we need him in that team.
Do you think he's a bit like a winger of Kiyate type style, where he just runs all day, but his end product's not quite perfect? But that's why he's at West Ham and not at a top 4 team.
Well, if you think about it, he'd be better as a wing back. because he's got so much pace, but his defensive contribution is a lot better than, for example, Moses. For example, the Man United game, he tracked back so much and done tackles in the box and everything. So I'd say he's more of a wing back really than an actual winger.
It gives Bilic options anyway. But Kris, last week, me and you tore into Valencia. We said, to quote you, he can't pass. he basically said he can't do anything. He said maybe head it, maybe shoot. Right? I am guilty as well. I think it's time we hold our hands up and say, well, I'm not saying we're convinced, but he had a good game today, Kris.
He looked fitter, he looked sharper, he looked better. I did also say he got injured a lot. He very nearly got injured. But what I did say was I said he can't cross, if you remember. That's what I said last week. And he certainly did cross. And the defenders really took time, really struggled to deal with it. And it resulted in a goal. So no, credit to Valencia, and I hope he's not injured. Just on what you touched on Antonio there, because it's been a bit of a theme on the forum, particularly in the match thread today. Words endeavour and effort are almost, by some, not all of them, a lot of people have appreciated what Antonio's done, but some of them have almost been dirty words, and they're not really. There's a lot to be said, particularly when you have technical players like Zarate, Lanzini and Payet. There is always room in a team for endeavour and effort. What I would say, I think you're right, Gio, and what you said about his technique. He is 25. And people still talk about potential. Your technique doesn't improve from 25 onwards. You do that sort of stuff when you're 11, 12, 13, 14. If you haven't got a brilliant first touch and are two-footed by 25, it ain't going to suddenly appear by the time you're 27. So I think we just got to accept he is what he is. He's a strong, fast, powerful guy who is full of effort, and sometimes that effort and tenacity is going to create openings.
Do you think, Kris, that's why we won the second half? By taking Song and Zarate off, who arguably were the two not putting in much effort, and bringing on Andy Carroll and Lanzini. Well, Lanzini is not necessarily a workhorse. He does graft a lot for a skillful time-out player, and Andy Carroll is just a big powerhouse up front. But do you think that's why we won the second half, by getting the two players that didn't really put in the effort out?
I think possibly. I think you're possibly, what you're saying is you're taking off two players who are better technically and putting two on who are going to put on more effort. Possibly, I think Song had to come off. He was awful. I mean, that stat that you said was terrible, but he was bad. Alongside Jenkinson, he was awful. And I like him. So Zarate, I still felt Zarate was likely to make something happen, because I always do, because he's all right. He's likely to get tackled while he's dribbling past a few players, but he's also likely to dribble past a few players and make a shot. But it was the right call, and I think we did just put more effort in the second half. We tried harder. We rolled our sleeves up. And we had a go, and I think that did tell in the end. Yeah,
well, we'll wrap it up here, but we'll be back next week with our preview of the Liverpool game. Do hit the subscribe button, come on to hammerschat.com, click on the forum and pop on. Also, click on the player ratings and give us your player ratings for today, because it'll be interesting to see who your man of the match was. I'm waiting to ask these guys in a wee second. Ryan, your debut. Thank you for popping on, but who was your man of the match today?
It's got to be Antonio. It's just through the 90 minutes of grafting, and he gets that lucky goal and he just pushes on. If you're talking about substitution, Lanzini changed the game completely.
Are you confident for Liverpool then, Ryan?
Yes, I mean, it all depends on how they do against Sunderland, because if they beat Sunderland, they could lose to us. They're like either a win or a lost team. Now I said they'll probably beat us, but that second half is giving me more confidence. Yeah,
Kris, you're relieved tonight. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling quite, as well as I'm buzzing that we've won, it's more a sense of relief. We're now 7th. Are you relieved tonight, Kris?
Yeah, because we're doing this as well, and you're doing a match thread, and then you're psyching yourself up, and you're saying to me, right, I'm going to call you in 15 minutes, and we'll be doing this, and you're thinking, okay, who am I? You're really sort of geeing up for it, thinking, well, I'm not happy about this, not happy about this, and your mood totally changes. But that's the beauty of football. It is emotional. It's up and it's down, and we're all happy tonight. And James Collins for me, man of the match.
Yeah, well, my man of the match. It's difficult, this one, but I am actually just going to give it to Mark Noble. I don't think he was that bad in the first half, but I think Bilic got it wrong, and in the second half, I think he changed it completely. And at times, it doesn't look like he's a leader, Noble, but there's no way we could have played like that in the second half without a leader on the pitch. I do not think we could have done that without someone on there. And all you have to do is look at the very end. he must have been absolutely knackered, Noble. But at the very end, he's running down our right wing, putting in that slide, crunchy tackles. He's Mr. West Ham. He gets his stick.
I liked how when he done that tackle, I think he made some contact with a boot to face, but he just got straight back up and just like, I've just got to win this match, and he just got straight back into position, not waste any time.
He didn't lie around. Just quickly, in defence of Bilic, I'd just like to say I do think Coyote has played out of position, but it's got to be tough for Bilic because Coyote is the best tackler in our midfield, but he's also the guy with the most drive for getting forward. So you could play him advanced, and you could. So I sort of understand why Bilic does play him there, but then you look at when Song's forward, he's not really got the pace to do it. It's almost, you could almost do it with two Coyotes sometimes, you know. But there you go.
But I think Coyote's got the worst positional sense out of the three of them. I do. I think he wanders too much, and I think he goes missing in games too much. I don't think he affects games as much as he should for someone of that physique and what he's got in his locker. He should be dominating the midfield, Coyote. And I'm talking about running through the opposition midfield almost as if they're not there. He just doesn't do it enough for me. But that's for another day, guys. We've been hammerschat.com. Ryan's been in his debut. Chris has been on. You've been listening to me again. West Ham finally won. We're 7th in the league. We can't wait. We're playing Liverpool next. And Payet is supposed to be on the bench. It's looking good. But thank you very much for joining us from hammerschat.com. Pop on, click on the forum, come give us your views. Pop onto the westhamway.co.uk for a look. Good night.